We're here to talk about, are human beings becoming dumber? We're going to talk about why it's a bad thing, why it might be a good thing. And I researched. I did a lot of research. I have empirical data. I have studies we're going to go over. I have theories we're going to go over. And mind you, I'll say in advance, I'm not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I am not a psychologist. All I am is someone who just researches. And I read, and I read, and I read, and I read stuff. So all this information you can find out on your own also, but I figured I would condense it and bring it to you. That is also one of the problems why people are becoming dumber. We don't physically read anymore. Like things like this. Living the wisdom of the Tao. People don't read anymore. You know, I still believe in books. I have them all over the place. I mean, maybe I'm not reading War and Peace, but I still gather knowledge from books. People do not read books, and it's a proven fact that actual reading of books and literature through neuroplasticity trains the mind and raises the IQ. How many people read books? Like if you see someone looking at a book, right? You're on the plane, you're waiting to take off, you're sitting out on the runway for an hour, and someone's reading a book. What are people looking at? They're like, weirdo. Because you're supposed to be on your phone, you know, playing games and on TikTok and all the rest of that. So, we're going to jump over to the computer in a minute, but all jokes aside, we can say, oh yeah, we can so tell that people are getting dumber, but there is a reason for it. All you have to do is look at TikTok and realize people are getting dumber. In some cases, all you have to do is look around. If you want to see it in action, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. Just search Gen Z or Gen X, or in some cases, millennials answering questions or can't answer questions, where people go man on the street style and ask people things like, where's China? Or what is the capital of America? Or what's 2 + 2? And people don't know. People literally do not know, and it's kind of frightening. So it's pretty easy to prove. I'll tell you a story real quick. There is a dollar store, not a 99-cent store, but a Dollar General that I go to once in a while for two specific things. When you check out, and I look, when you check out, okay, it's $17.42 or whatever. I hand over a 20. They enter 20 into the cash register, and up pops, when it comes time for the change, up pops a pictogram. I shit you not. A pictogram displaying what the change should be. So in this case, they showed dollar bill. They showed a picture of a dollar bill, and underneath it says 2. I shit you not. And then it has a picture of a quarter, a graphic, not even an actual picture. It has to be a cartoon. That way it's more readily digested. A cartoon of a quarter, and it says 2, and then a cartoon of a dime, and then it says 1, and then a cartoon of pennies, and they follow along the pictogram. Oh, two of those. Oh, not these, those. Oh, yeah, that has that thing like this on it. Was that a 1? Okay. Like I even hear it in the casinos. Like people playing slot machines. They don't call them aces. Let's see, jacks, queens, kings, and aces, which they technically are. I hear people starting to call them J's, Q's, K's, and A's. Now, is that a sign of the dumbing down of people? Perhaps, but it shows the disconnect between having a vast amount of knowledge, knowing that that system came from a deck of cards and not the alphabet because it's a casino. But people aren't even making that connection anymore. Like I watch it in the videos on YouTube. People are saying, oh, look, I got a bunch of J's times 2. And I'm like, whoa, kind of scary. And you'll notice, too, people like us, and I'll include all 98 of us being in average or better. And if you happen to be under average in terms of IQ, that's okay, too. Through neuroplasticity, it doesn't necessarily make you stupid. It just makes learning certain things a little more challenging. But through neuroplasticity, which I'm going to get into that too, you can raise your IQ significantly up to maybe 20 points, which brings you above average. So it is what it is. But people with higher intelligence in this climate of lower intelligence becoming lower will tend to be more frustrated. We'll tend to beat our heads off a wall more because when you hear someone go, oh, look, I just got a bunch of jacks times, bunch of J's times 2, you're like, they're jacks. They're jacks. You know what I'm saying? So we need a little more patience. You know, when we see a pictogram come up on a cashier, we need a little more patience. You ready to jump over the computer? Like I said, I put a lot of work into this. I hope you guys get a lot out of it, or it's food for thought, because that's what I'm all about, food for thought. So let's jump over to the computer. I'm going to show you a couple of graphs that depict what is going on, and we're going to talk about them. I will narrate some. Here's the average SAT for reading and verbal scores. And this comes from highly accredited universities. All these things you could find yourself, you could research yourself. You know, that's why I wanted to do it with pictures and graphs, because I want to show you that this information is out there. It's not just conjecture, and I'm not just talking out my butt. This is the real deal. So back in approximately 1970, the average SAT reading score was about 523. We've had a couple of bounces here and there, but just like a stock trending downwards like Anheuser-Busch. Look where we are in 2015. This chart, I couldn't find a more current one, but I'm sure it dips lower than this. So we have lost about 30 points in average on SAT reading and verbal scores. Reading and verbal is basically the ability to read and comprehend that which you're reading, because people don't even read anymore, let alone off the internet. And verbal scores, being able to communicate the ideas of their own mind and what they have read. That is the purpose of this SAT score. And that has been in an ever steady decline. All right, next graph. Here is a prediction based on where we're at. Now, I'll preface by saying IQ is not the be-all, end-all of intelligence, but there's many different IQ tests, and most of these studies are not based on one. They're based on a multitude of IQ tests and parameters and functionality tests. Some people say that IQ tests are skewed. Some people say that they are IST with the RAC in front of them, which at one time, yes, some studies were indeed used to push certain agendas, especially prior to WW, if you know what I'm saying. So they can be taken with a grain of salt, but they have been perfected over time, and it's the cumulative effect of multiple different ones that tests different regions and different areas of cognitive intelligence. So it's not just one that these are coming off. So let's get back over there. The average score of intelligence, the average IQ is based on a factor of 100. Now that we established that. So, this is the world IQ over time. 1950, under 100, it averaged a little over 91, which isn't terrible. I'll show you what all this means after. But there has been a steady decline ever since. We're about right here right now, around the 89 category. And they predict by the year 2110, the average IQ will be about 84. Now, you'll see in the next graphs that that's considered low intelligence by today's standard, borderline on the low side. Anything 70 and under is 75, 70 under, depending who you talk to, is considered mental retardation. So we're heading to the point of mental capacity being an issue, and it's been on the decline for quite a few years. It started going up, which we'll see in a second. What I do have to say too, a lot of the research, so I got to cop to it and be honest about it. A lot of the research, what triggered people to start studying the effects of the decline in IQ over the past decade, 5 years, correlate that with something, was actually started by my people, the Nordic people, and I'll also include Finland, which is technically not Nordic. They're not they might be Scandinavian, but they are not Nordic people. They're a different people. Okay, so in order to conscript people into the military in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, you have to take an IQ test. And based on that IQ test and aptitude test, that's what'll position you in various jobs. Because no matter what the job is, like if you try to give someone with an overachieving IQ the wrong job, they won't perform. If you try to give someone with an underachieving IQ the wrong job, they won't perform. So it was sort of like the right person for the right job based on IQ theory. So it was my people who started to figure out, damn, we're getting dumber, because they noticed a decline year over year over year over year in these tests. And they're not small sample sizes, because in some cases, military service is compulsory. So you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of sample sizes that just cross the gender spectrum and the age spectrum. They notice, researchers are like, what the actual F? We're seeing a decline. Where we saw a rise year over year over year, suddenly now we're seeing a decline. And the decline is significant, to the point of about in Norway, it had the highest decline, almost 3 points in the past 5 years. That might not seem significant, but that's 3% in 1 year. We're getting dumber. So it was my people who blew the whistle about this whole thing. Hey, look out, world, we're getting dumber. Let's get into a couple more graphs here. This is a graph of IQ. I'm laying the foundation before we get into the meat of the matter. That way you understand what IQ and cognitive function and aptitude tests are really about and designed to factor in. So IQ, there's a bell curve, obviously. IQ of 100 sits directly in the middle of this IQ bell curve, and this is the amount of the population. 95% of the world's population, this just isn't in America, 95% sits between, the smaller average is 85 to 115. That would be considered the average by today's standard. 85 on the low side, 130. And then once you get past 130, you're getting into Mensa territory. Research that on your own, MENSA. And you can take IQ tests yourself, but remember to take a multitude of them and don't bullshit. Do honest answering on these aptitude and IQ tests, or don't. If you think you're smart, maybe you want it. If you think you're dumb, maybe you want it. If you're in, that's up to you. But there might be some butt hurt one way or the other. But look at the percentage of people who have an IQ like 140 and above. It's like a tiny percent. 130 would indicate being gifted. 70 would be considered the presence of developmental or learning disabilities, also known as retardation. That's not a bad word. That is a clinical word. I am not a doctor, but it is a word. So that's a bad thing. All right, let's move on. So now we know average IQ, the broader average between geniuses and people who are mentally handicapped, 95% fit there. The actual average, 68% of the people are between 85 and 115, with 100 being the average. So let's move on. Now we're going to get into some charts and graphs and stuff like that. Again, this is for understanding purposes. That way you have a handle on what we're actually talking about. Using the 68, which I showed you, the 95, and the 99.7, which spans from the absolute edges of the IQ and intelligence and aptitude bell curve. We already showed you this, the entire thing being this with a couple, a 0.3 out. This is the distribution. If you're going to look at it from the distribution standpoint, 50% of people are totally average at the 100 percentile. Now, if you take a look, this is the 85 percentile, and this is I believe that is the 70%. The people who reside down in here has been growing significantly. There's been reports of anywhere from 12%, and I've seen all the way up to 18%, who are beginning to borderline on mentally challenged. So the bell curve is actually, the practical bell curve is actually sliding more in this direction. So the practical bell curve you'd see come up here, peak around there, and start to come back down again. This is the theoretical one based on statistics, but it's starting to change right now. I hope I'm not losing it yet. Stay tuned. You got to dig this. This looks a little weird, doesn't it? Do I got a dirty mind? I don't know. Looks like something. All right, here we go. Again, this being the average IQ, this being the 68 number, this being the 95 number, and here we have the IQ of 80. And in the lower IQ statistic, 14% of the population currently is in the borderlining of having mental challenges and difficulties, and it has not been that great, but now it is getting there. And there was a little quip up here I wanted to read too. Facts about the IQ of 80, which is just outside of the norm. Remember, normal would be considered 85 to 115. Facts about 80 IQ, the in-depth information about 80 IQ, but the whole, I've been reading articles and articles, so you don't have to. Because it is below average, the IQ of 80 is not regarded as a good result, according to some of the most recent writers of high intelligence tests. This IQ level is strongly connected with aggressive conduct. We're going to get into that. Behavior in this area versus this area. I got research for you. We're going to get into it. So we're getting into the 14% who is under average and growing. And the characteristic that's being strongly connected is aggressive conduct. Now we're getting into some research papers here, but I'll save you the yada yada. I'm going to read through this real quick. During the pandemic, life expectancy has trended down. Okay. Equally troubling and far less discussed is a recent decline in average IQ. For the first time, IQ is dropping since the intelligence test was invented in 1904. We as a human species are getting dumber. Despite criticisms and limitations, according to its own inventor, IQ does not fully access intelligence. This measure of intelligence has been widely used. Okay, we're going to get into the Flynn effect. IQ scores have steadily increased up until the vid. People's intelligence was actually growing by 2 percentage points per decade. That's significant. And it's been like that since 1904. 2 points per. We were on a scale going up. For the first time, once the vid happened, we're going down. That is, look at that. But no, forgive me if I misspeak, or if you want to correct me on any of this, feel free with further research, of course. Don't just say, Bror Fredrik, you know what the hell you're talking about. Come at me with facts, because I did my research. This phenomenon is called the Flynn effect. 3 IQ points or more per decade. Okay. This gets interesting. 2 studies, one by Brown University and 5 other universities and another by Columbia University, have all concluded that cognitive development is declining. Like I said, these are peer research studies that are coming out saying this. This is not my opinion. You can look around and figure out your own opinion, but you could also read these. You can click on this stuff. They have found that babies born after the vid have lost 22 points in IQ, or the equivalent, or wiping out the equivalent of 70 years of IQ gains. And yes, they do cognitive and IQ studies on infants and children. There are ways to do it. This impact is more profound for boys and children of lower socioeconomic backgrounds. It goes on to say how they do the research, and you can read all this for yourself. They scored cognitive and motor development of 700 kids, and found out that things are not looking good. But they also say that there was starting to become signaling of a massive drop just prior to the vid. Like I said, you can go and check all this out for yourself. I don't know what the correlation is between the vid and IQ. We're talking falling off a cliff. We were on a trajectory of 3 points per decade, 70. And then bonk. I mean, the line actually does this. Like falling off a cliff. It's frightening. This, again, we're doing a little background here. Then I'm going to get into some philosophical and scientific information as well. The average intelligence quotient, that's IQ. That's what IQ stands for. If you have an above average IQ, you probably already know that. But if you don't, now you learn your IQ just, took a hit up. Good on us. Good on you. The average intelligence quotient, IQ, is between 85 and 115, but this number can vary between countries, states, and even geographical regions. IQ stands for intelligent quotients. Okay. And this just backs up everything. This I actually got from Wikipedia. Not that they're the gold standard of truth, but, I went and looked, and they have everything annotated where this comes from. So this is just to show you that, what I'm saying is accurate. I know you believe me, but I encourage everyone to not take my word or anyone else's word for anything. Do your own study. In general, the IQ score is defined by the median of 100. Scores above 130 are labeled as above average or very superior, while scores under 70 would be considered below average or labeled as borderline impaired. Overall, 98% of the people have a score below 130. Only 2% of the population has it above. Your IQ score is simply not about bragging rights. It is not. Just saying you have an IQ of, 168 doesn't make you the next Albert Einstein, because you could be dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of other categories too. So that's just statistical information showing the background behind those infographic charts. Okay, the Flynn effect. Let's talk about the Flynn effect real quick as I fire back up the chat. Let's see. There has been, according to the researcher Flynn, not Errol Flynn, 3 points increase per decade, or a 21-point increase in the past 70 years. However, it's gone in a reverse Flynn right now. We have lost 22 points, a decrease in, it's not actually the past decade, I don't know what to call it, but the past 5 years, there's been a cognitive decline in IQ of 22 points, thus completely obliterating, setting back humanity in intelligence 70 years. All right, now we got to talk about this. All right, I hope I'm holding your attention. Let me drink some water, but this is interesting stuff. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Researchers were trying to figure out why people don't actually do anything about their intelligence and why we're not called on it. So a lot of research, a lot of peer studies. You could Google this yourself. It's literally called the Dunning-Kruger effect. Basically, to summarize, people are too dumb to realize that they are dumb. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, don't you think? If you're dumb, you might not realize you're dumb. However, this is the part I want to get into too. This is the part that excites me and is relevant to us and our conversation here. These things that we're going to talk about, besides just pointing our finger at dumb people. Don't do that. But see, this applies, the Dunning-Kruger effect applies to smart people too. But hey, wait a second, Bror Fredrik. I thought we were talking about dumb people. I thought you were going to let me off the hook because I'm smart. No, I got to put you back on the hook, because the Dunning-Kruger effect applies just as much to smart people. Because like I said, and that research said that just having a high IQ doesn't make you smart or better or give you bragging rights. Smart people can be pretty freaking dumb too. This is why. The less people know about a subject, the smarter they think they are concerning it. Let me read that again. The less people know about a subject, the smarter they think they are concerning it. So basically, the less you know and the less you study a specific thing, if you get tidbits, if you get your news from memes on Facebook or on Instagram, if you're just listening to the news and digesting the crap that they want to shove down your throat, you are not gaining enough information to fully comprehend and to fully grasp, to fully understand, to fully reiterate or make your own the facts about a situation. But you'll think you're smart, and you will regurgitate that which you've heard on such a minimalized, compressed level, and most of the time you're being told what to think, that you think you're smart about it. I saw a meme that agrees with my predisposed opinion, thus I am smart. So smart people fall prey to the Dunning-Kruger effect just as much as dumb people. Now, dumb people, like I said, going back here, some people are just too dumb to realize that they're dumb. But again, this applies to smart people too. The less people know about a subject, the smarter they think they are concerning it. And we are seeing that in spades now. We're literally seeing that in spades. It's almost frightening. So, basically what I'm saying is research, study. Do not pretend to know shit or anything because you saw a meme, because it agrees with your predispositions, because you had a cursory look on it, because you saw it on TV, because you heard it on the news, whatever. Don't think you're smart about a subject until you've done the research. I'm not talking about, studying like I did to provide this presentation, but at minimal, you have to find some studies, and studies that are based on a larger sample size. If you see a study that has a sample size of like 200 people, forget about it. Even 1,000 people, forget about it. The reason being is that sample size is too small, and most likely the researchers were probably paid to go out and find people to support their hypothesis or whatever. So find peer studies, read books, educate yourself, because you don't want to get to the end of the finish line or the end to your life and find out you're a dumbass. This applies to smart people. So the less people know about a given subject, the smarter they think they are concerning it. Do we see that every day or what? All right, here's some good news. Now we're getting into some stuff here, right? How to avoid the Dunning-Kruger effect. This should go without saying, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Never be the smartest person in the room. Never be the smartest person. Let me have this mic out in front of me. I want you to hear this in all its glory. Never be the smartest person in the room. If you think you're the smartest person in the room, you are not doing yourself any favors. It's time to get up out of that room and find a room where you are not the smartest person in the room. You will not grow. You will not gain knowledge. If you're the smartest person in the room, you'll get an inflated ego, and your knowledge will cease to grow. And that's what you want as a human being. You want your knowledge to grow. So it's an old saying, but there's so much truth in it. Surround yourself with people that are at the bare minimum on your level, whether in business, whether in socializing, whether in casual interactions, whether you're at the office, around the water cooler. Seek the people who are on your level at the minimum or above, because the iron sharpeneth iron, and that's the only way you will know if you're a dumbass or not. When you're the smartest person in the room, nobody's going to call you on your shit. Everyone's going to be the movie Idiocracy. Ooh, he's so smart. Ooh, you smart person. They're just feeding your ego, which is popular these days. Get around some people who are smarter than you, and they'll tell you what. They'll tell you, all right, let me get back to here real quick. Seek honest feedback, not validation. Seek honest feedback, not validation. Because right now, we are currently living in a societal structure that just gasses each other up. You're so smart. You're so handsome. You're so this. You're so beautiful. You're so whatever. Well, we all have a friend that goes out to karaoke, right? And just is like, they're singing Stairway to Heaven, they're singing, Guns N' Roses or whatever shit. And they sound brutally awful. You could see this on, Who Wants to Be a Star or whatever the frick those shows are. These people have no talent. but everyone's gassing them up, and they don't realize that the joke is on them, because everyone in the audience and all your friends, this guy, your pal who's up there making a fool of himself on stage, sometimes that's fun, but sometimes these people are actually thinking they could sing, or they have the next great business idea, or they're geniuses on some level, or they're so beautiful. Oh, I'm a 10, you know? The Lizzo effect. But you're not. So you need to be surrounded by honest people. Otherwise, everyone's gassing you up all the time. Wow, that because they're saying to you, you're so brave. Like, okay, you're grotesquely obese, man or woman. People telling you you're so brave for wearing a banana hammock or a bikini. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Honestly, you're so brave. You're so brave and so confident that you could wear that banana hammock in public. No, the joke is on you. People, we live in a society that if you're honest, you're bad. People would rather hear beautiful lies than the cold, hard truth. And if you want to remain in ignorance and have that whole ignorance is bliss thing, go for it. Seek validation. Validation. That's what everything's based now on validation. Seeking validation. That's the whole society. You're so brave. You're so strong. You're so independent. You're so beautiful. You're so smart. You can sing. A for effort. Everyone gets a trophy. Now this is what we have to deal with. We have to undo everyone gets a trophy, because now you have to surround yourself with people who are honest. If you have a business idea, run it past people who are smarter than you, and they will tell you, if they're honest, whether it's going to flop or whether you have a winner on your hands. You want to be a singer, you want to be the next Garth Brooks or whatever, don't go to the local place. Go around some people who could really sing and say, hey, do you think I got what it takes? And they won't blow smoke up your ass. And they'll be like, no, don't quit your day job. That's what you have to do to be a better person. You have to be able to seek out honest opinions, and by people who may, for the most part, be smarter than you. Seek honest feedback, not validation. But we're in validation land. Everything, 2023, the year of validation. You're so brave, you're so strong, you're so independent, you're so smart. In your own mind. And the problem is people are believing their own rhetoric. So that's why dumb people don't realize they're dumb. And beautiful people who are not beautiful people don't realize they're not beautiful people, because everyone's telling they're beautiful people because they believe in their own rhetoric. Not that there's anything wrong with being average or below average, but believing beautiful lies is not doing you a service. There's some interesting facts that I scoured out of some studies. Is low IQ contagious? Studies have shown that it is indeed contagious. Frickin' yikes. Because this was a study with thousands and thousands and thousands of people I came across. Again, you can find it. Loners and people who are asocial, they call it, tend to be of higher intelligence, further along, or maybe even on the right side of the IQ scale. Those who run in groups tend to be of lesser intelligence. Now, what is that saying? Is that saying that be a loner if you don't want to be a dumbass? Does it automatically mean that if you're a social butterfly and you have a big social group and you like being around people and all that, you're going to be dumber? The facts speak for themselves, because when you're not, as a loner or a asocial, I think they call it, person, you have to literally think about thinking. You have to think about thinking. When you're by yourself, you're alone with your thoughts. A lot of people do not like being alone with their own thoughts because their thoughts either frighten them or they're spacey like a bowl of frickin' spaghetti, or they don't have any of their own. They require outside influence to coagulate what's going on in their heads. Group think. Groupthink is easy, it's affordable, and it takes the pressure off. I'm just going to go along with the crowd. I'm going to go along with what's popular. I am going to go along with the current trend. I'm going to wear the makeup that the Kardashians say I should. I'm going to wear, white after Labor Day. Just going along with trends. People who go along with trends tend to be of lower intelligence, and it feeds upon himself because from a neuroplasticity level, it's the easy way out. You don't have to hold yourself accountable, and you don't have to be alone with your own thoughts, which is extraordinarily healthy to do. You'll find out a lot when you actually have to think about the way you think. Is it contagious? Studies are actually pointing in that direction, that IQ is much less of a genetic thing than something that is an acquired behavior. Whoa. Like right away, you're going to think lower intelligence is a product of, well, we'll get into that. Not saying be all alone, but take time. Okay, I'm going to sum this up by saying, you know what? Do take time for yourself. If you're social, if you love being around people, if that's what excites you, that's fine. That's wonderful to be social. I am a introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert. I vary. So I love being around people, but I also like being alone. But then when I'm alone, then I want to be around people. That's my personal nature. Some people aren't that diametrically opposed in their, socialisms. If that's even a word, I might have invented it. But take time for yourself. Take time by yourself and away from the stupid electronics. Taking time to yourself is not this. That's not taking time alone. That's not taking time for yourself. Take time alone with your own brain. Go inside the supermarket. Put the phone in the pocket. Do whatever. Like when I do like tiny things, sometimes I don't like being out with the phone, but being without the phone for emergency reasons. I want to be able to, call up the crew. But if I just run inside the P.O. box, I'll leave the phone in the car. If I happen to get into a line, I get to think. Thinking's good. Why do I wash my own dishes? Do I have a dishwasher? Of course I do. You know what I use it for? I store my blender, my protein, my NutriBullet, my flour. I store shit in my dishwasher. Because washing my hands and washing my dishes and doing like certain manual tasks, like Sunday is my chore day. I might put on some music, but I'm not taking the phone. I'm not checking it. Yada yada yada. I'm in me. I'm thinking, experiencing, I'm having my thoughts, I'm having my ups, I'm having my downs, I'm thinking about thinking, I'm thinking about myself, I'm thinking about life, I'm thinking about things, I'm replaying things that happened during the week to analyze them, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next week, yada, yada, yada. Taking time for yourself is vital for your mental health and your intelligence. And leave this over there. Is low IQ dangerous? We're going to get into this. This comes from a study. I found this study after I made this slide, but we're going to go over this slide. Is low IQ people, are they dangerous? Are they a danger to society? Low IQ people, aka stupid people, are a greater threat than malicious people. And I have a study to show that. Plus, have you ever heard the concept of useful idiots? We're going to talk about that too. You can say, how did people, how is this possible that people believe this? How is it possible that just before WW11 plus, people were capable of doing horrendous things? How come the mass media lies and people digest it? Do they know they're lying, or are they just trying to keep their job? Maybe they are useful idiots. Useful idiots have value, both to corporations, both to the uneducation system, and to the gov, the powers that be. Useful idiots. We're going to get in. So they do pose a danger. And again, stupid people are a greater threat than malicious people. And I'll show you why in a second. Here we go. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to read this to you. Now, just think, this is from the great theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer, German, imprisoned, 1942. Again, German citizen, thrown in jail. He was trying to make sense of what was happening in his country. He was trying to figure out why his people were completely off the rails. Completely off the rails. How was a country that just prior to that and prior to WW, it was a society of poets and philosophers and artists and musicians. And how did they get to the point where they were, you know what I'm saying? How did that happen? So he spent an extraordinary amount of time figuring and factoring what took place with humanity concerning that. And he came up with the following. And he did this while he was rotting in jail. All right, now I'm going to read it for you. Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of good than malice. One may protest against evil. It can be exposed and, if needed, prevented by force. Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, in that it leaves behind in human beings at least a sense of unease. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here against stupidity. Reasons towards people who are of lower IQ, stupid, fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. Does that sound familiar? Feelings over facts? I mean, how many times can you show someone a study and you could see it on live TV every night? Someone will look at a study and be like, nope, that's an anomaly. That's, or they'll come up with a study that, like I always say, the concept that if you say all shit stinks, someone out there will say, no, it doesn't, Bror Fredrik, because, dinosaur poop, it's a fossil, so it doesn't smell. So you're wrong, Bror Fredrik. But hey, wait a second, dummy. It's not dinosaur poop anymore. It's a rock because it's a fossil. Oh, no, you're still wrong, Bror Fredrik. People are just not willing to hear the truth. I hear your facts, but replace them with my own. Okay, so let's read that again. Neither protest nor use of force, so you can't even beat someone into thinking correctly in most cases, accomplish anything here. Reasoning falls on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. Just push it aside. Push it aside. In such moments, the stupid person even becomes critical. And when facts are irrefutable, they just are pushed aside as inconsequential or as incidental. In all this, the stupid person, in contrast to the malicious one, is utterly self-satisfied, and being easily irritated becomes dangerous by going on the attack. For that reason, greater caution is called for when dealing with a stupid person than a malicious person. Never again will we try to persuade the stupid person with reasons, for it is senseless and dangerous to try to speak reason to a stupid, low-intelligent person, which, unfortunately, we're slipping all into this category. And this was written in 1942. Does it resonate? Is any of these words resonating with what we see going on around us right now on Twitter, Twatter, on TikTok, on the news, on YT? Are you seeing this? This was written. This is like the playbook right here. This guy was smart. Stupidity is, in essence, not an intellectual defect, but a moral defect. I'm going to paraphrase some of this to put it into more understandable terms. Let's read that again. Stupidity, in essence, is not an intellectual defect. So it's not a birth defect. It's not necessarily a birth defect unless it's clinically a retardation or a mental handicap. But the average stupid person, it is not an intellectual defect. It is a moral defect. There are human beings who are of remarkably agile intelligence, yet stupid. That's what I was saying before. Just because you have a high IQ doesn't necessarily make smart. And others who are intellectually quite dull, but they are anything but stupid. They have common sense. They know how to, they know stuff. They just straight up know stuff. In conversation with him, one virtually feels that one is not dealing with him as a person. Now, okay, let's read this again. We're talking about low IQ people that are permeating society and starting to get their way. Think TikTok, the mental illness factory. So we're talking about stupid people. In conversation with him or her, stupid person, TikToker, not all TikTokers, but you know what I'm saying, you're going to be met with slogans, catchwords, and the like that have taken possession of him. Parroting narratives, regurgitating talking points, using slogans, aka memes, and catchwords. You're a racist if you don't think the way I do. You're a misogynist, blah, 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 if you don't think the way I do. You're one of these if you don't think the way I do. 1942. He is again, talking about the dummy, he is under a spell, blinded, misused, and abused in his very being, having thus become a mindless tool. The stupid person will also be capable of any evil and at the same time incapable of seeing that it is evil. Frickin' yikes. 1942, this cat figured it out. Are we not seeing that everywhere? The catchphrases, the finger pointing, the useful idiots that are out there just wrecking the world, but they're having their way with it at the same time because, these squeaky wheels are getting all the oil. They're getting all the attention. And like that movie, Idiocracy, he was scorned for being more intelligent. They're like, haha, you're smart. Really? But that's where we're getting. Intelligent people are going to be attacked by people of lesser intelligence because it is a moral. In certain cases, it is a choice. If it's not by a mental defect, it is a choice not to educate yourself and get out of the mob think that we're currently in. It's a fascinating subject. I hope you guys are fascinated too. He goes on to say that the only way to fix a stupid person, you can't. You cannot fix a stupid person. The only way a stupid person who is a danger to himself and society as a whole, a truly stupid person, worse than an evil person, because evil can be fought, stupidity cannot. The only way that you can ever overcome stupidity, you cannot on your own. The only way a stupid person has to overcome stupidity himself. He has to have an awakening because it's more of a moral issue. Believe it or not, interesting. More of a moral issue than an actual intellectual issue. The true concept. This guy's called the father of the theory of stupidity. So just go look up the theory of stupidity. It has all the facts and data and whatever. He has to come to a realignment and a reawakening in himself that he's going to say, I'm tired of being a tool. That's where that word comes from. Maybe that's where that word comes from. Being a freaking tool. I'm tired of being a tool. I'm tired of being a tool for the powers that be. I'm tired of repeating what everyone else is saying. I'm tired of mob think. I'm tired of going with the flow. I'm tired of being used, of my resources, my mind, my energy. I'm tired of being used. I want to be independent. I want to be free. I want to think critically. That is the only cure. But it starts with the person. And how often is that going to happen? The dangers of low IQ. Again, statistically proven. People with lower IQs tend to be more aggressive, because they fly off the handle. They don't have, if you don't have your facts straight, you tend to take shit really, really personal. You ever notice that? You ever notice that people who don't have their facts straight take everything personal? You know, if they were more educated, if they weren't just agreeing with a meme they saw on Facebook that happened to agree with them, and suddenly they know everything, the Dunner-Kruger effect, when you contradict them, they get freaking pissed. They get angry. They get hostile because they view that as a personal attack. So people of lower IQ tend to be more aggressive and pose more of a threat. And of course, they tend to be less productive because tomorrow's another day, less willing to adapt. They could see change coming. They could see winter coming. They could see the trees falling off the tree, but they won't prepare for winter. They won't start canning goods. You know, they see things coming, but it just doesn't register the same way. They're less willing to adapt to different things. And they are less willing to listen to reason because it's feeling over facts. If your fact, no matter how reputable it is, they just will discard it in favor of what they happen to think. And, of course, people of lower IQ are more likely to adopt mob mentality. And you can see that. You can see that everywhere. You can see that in fights that take place. You can see that in Waffle House. You can just see that shit everywhere. You can see it in politics. You can see it in gender-driven issues. You can see it in everything. People who have lower intelligence and lower IQ, which it's panning out to be. I showed you that it's going down 22 points in 5 years. They're more likely to engage in mob behavior, where someone of greater intelligence would be like, I don't think I should be setting fire to cars. Just saying. What are the causes of low IQ? Nobody seems to know. I have not found one study that says I found the reason why people are dumb now. You could blame a lot of things to me. People say it's environmental, there's something in the water. I've heard it all. But these are some of the popular theories. I tend to believe it is cumulative amongst all. Some people say it's even has to do with this, if you know what I'm saying. That has not been proven. That could be all tin hat. Some of this can be tin hat. But cumulatively, I think, and stay tuned, I'm going to show you one that's definitively proven to lower IQ. After this slide, I am going to show you one, don't go anywhere, that will butt hurt the hell out of you. But it's factual, proven truth. So stick around. Let's just get through this and I will show you. I'm not telling you to butt hurt anyone, but there might be some butt hurtage going on. Causes of low IQ. We've all heard the song. Been around the world when stupid people are breeding. Do stupid people breed more? Is that truly debatable, that stupid people breed more? Is that the cause of lower IQ? Maybe not in and of itself. But people who do not think about consequences, which tend to be lower education, which tend to be lower intelligent people, statistically do have more children than people in either higher income brackets or of higher intelligence, because in those two cases, they tend to think more about it. They're like, gee, Biff, I don't think we should have more than one child, because how are we going to put them through Harvard? So we'll just have one. Because they're thinking about Harvard, they're thinking they got to buy the Porsche, they have a different set of criteria, or they're rationalizing it just from a monetary standpoint, Marge. I think, that we should only have 1.1 child because according to the given economic climate, that's higher intelligence. Sometimes leads to lower offspring, whereas lower intelligence, you think first, ask questions later. Lower intelligence people do tend to have more children. Not saying that automatically their child is going to be dumber, because but genetically, if two dumb people get together and make a baby, it might be a dumb baby too. Two people, smart people having a baby might have a smart baby, but that's not always the case. The problem is when you're having tons of kids and you can't afford to educate them, they might become dumb, So that comes down to here. Poor parenting. Is it the education system? Well, our education system was designed to get people to learn the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, which is so funny in and of itself that they call it the 3 R's. The 3 R's, just in that statement is stupidity. Reading has an R, writing doesn't have an R, arithmetic doesn't have an R, but they call it the 3 R's. And people are like, 3 R's, there's 3 R's. So the education system, just in the 3 R's, is dumbing down the people, because all we needed when people came off the farms and came into cities, and then, WW whatever happened, we needed people who not only knew how to feed the chickens, but we had to educate them so they could work in factories, because the Industrial Revolution created a need for factory workers. So we needed to teach them the 3 R's. They were so dumb back then that they needed to be called the 3 R's, even though there's only an R in one of them. I find that ironic AF. But anyway, so they got learned how to read, write, and count. And that's where our education system, for the most part, has remained for decades, to produce functional factory workers, corporate yes men, and people who nod, keep their head down, and plow, and clean rooms, and do all the things that society needs done, and have a basic understanding of math, can understand when someone tells them to do something, and tell their friend. That's what we're doing. So is it an education thing? Quite likely, because our education system blows. Here in Nevada, we're at the bottom. It blows chunks. Social media, perhaps? TikTok, the mental illness factory? Getting your memes and sound bites from social media? Not putting down your phones and never ever reading one of these? A book? Reading something on your phone is not quite the same as reading one of these. Don't lie to yourself. Go out and read, and not Playboy. Read a friggin' book. It doesn't have to be War and Peace, but read something you like reading, but frickin' read. Read. It rewires your brain. It increases intelligence. It's been proven. Social media has been proven to dumb down society, and it's being done on purpose. And when I say on purpose, it's because of social media companies are becoming, just like casinos are becoming experts in the psychology of dopamine. Social media makes casinos look like goody two-shoes when it comes to manipulating your dopamine levels and dumbing you down. Lack of reading. I just covered that. Read. Please frickin' read. The government? Is the government? I'm not talking about contrails, but who knows? We have tons of contrails here in Las Vegas, and we're also at the bottom of the education system. Correlation? I don't know. Tin hat be damned. But they're not doing anything to prevent it now, are they? They are not doing a damn thing to correct the course, because what's going on now is useful idiots. Useful idiots are so valuable to the powers that be. So do you see them stepping up? Do you see the news or any government agency getting on TV and saying, guess what, people? We have something that's going to help. We have a pill that's going to do this. We have a theory to do. Oh my God. Even the food pyramid that we've all come to trust. The food pyramid that's being pushed on us is a bunch of bullshit. The whole entire food pyramid is a lie. It comes from corporations wanting to sell, and the government sold out. So the government isn't even honest enough to tell you what food is good for you. So beef is bad. Cow farts are killing the environment. All lies. Oh, stick to the pyramid. Eat cheap grains. Holy cow. They love a good, useful idiot. The government is not your friend. It's not on your side trying to help useful idiots. All right, I'm demonetized again. I hope you guys are paying attention, because this video is probably not going to be up tomorrow. Or maybe it will, but in a different form. Okay, neuroplasticity. I am going to do a whole thing about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the wiring, how your brain gets wired, and it can change. The wiring of your brain, the neurons, change. You could literally be dumb and become smarter. You could literally become smarter. You could be smarter and become dumber. You can be a high achiever and become a low achiever, and vice versa. You could think the sky is blue and wire your mind to see it as red. You can be a complete, absolute frickin' wallflower, rewire your brain to be the life of the party. You can have childhood trauma or emotional damage that is absolutely crippling. And you can rewire your brain via simple principles of neuroplasticity and get healing in your life. we're going to talk about neuroplasticity. However, neuroplasticity also works in reverse. Your brain can be rewired to become a useful idiot. Like the expression says, you are what you eat. Why do you think? Okay, I've been in all forms of media my entire life. Photographer, videographer, spokesperson, you name it. I've been in this game a long, long time. There's a reason that it's called consuming. Have you heard that expression? Unless you've been under a rock, you probably have. What kind of content do you consume? Well, he consumes my content. I have 23,000 people consuming my content. Consumption of content is the new gold standard. Now they have a name for it, consumption. You consume content. You don't consume books. You don't consume family. You consume content. You are a commodity. You are being commoditized to consume content. Your eyeballs are now a commodity. I can sell things based on commoditizing your eyeballs. When a business reaches out to me and they say, how many eyeballs do you have? I can say, I have 46,000 eyeballs as a commodity that I could sell you. And this goes across all reaches of media. It's the commoditizing. So as you become a commodity, basically, let me get back to what I initially said. You are what you eat. I digressed a bit there, but I had to explain that statement. You are what you eat. That does not just apply to food. Think of the modern day idea of consumption of media. You are what you eat. So neuroplasticity will rewire your brain in maybe not the most positive fashion. Okay, people. Are you ready for the butthurt? Oh, let me sit up straight for this. Are you ready for the butthurt? I think I've butthurt people before, but I'm going to butthurt me again. I'm sorry. Let me take a swig of my coffee. What up? I'm hesitant to do this. I'm buying myself time because I know it's coming. You've heard me say it before in other categories, but here's one that's going to cause some butthurt because it goes across many, many lines. Are you ready? Let's all take a deep breath. Open your mind. You ready? I'm even going to do a countdown. Turn away if you have to. But 5, 4. This is a cause proven, scientifically and medically proven cause of low IQ and stupidity. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yikes! Hey, Bror Fredrik, I'm butthurt. I'm sorry. I truly am. I am sorry. But it's the truth. It is 100% the truth. Why do you think alcohol and 420 was not considered, like I was considered non-essential? Why in the world would alcohol, it's definitely getting demonetized, why would alcohol be open and say, hey, guess what? We'll even deliver it because it's essential. Believe me, if you do not believe me, go and look it up. Please do not fall into that category of going back a few slides that says the less you know about the subject, the smarter you think you are about it. Don't be that person. I know everyone likes their drink. I like an old fashioned every once in a while, if I'm at Bavette's or whatever. But I quit drinking for all intents and purposes. If I socialize, I'll have a drink. Someone comes to town, we're chilling, the crew. But for the most part, we're there to talk about, highly intellectual, technical, cyber-related, societal-related things. I don't want to be dulled by alcohol, but that's not the true reason. And I know it's so ubiquitous, but quite frankly, they should frickin' outlaw alcohol. Yes, I said it, and I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, not sorry. But they should, because I'm not talking about, DWIs or none of that. It is scientifically and medically proven that alcohol converts. If you want me to put it together, and I'll show you in another study, but I beseech you to study it on your own. The information is out there, clear as day. Alcohol converts into a toxin inside your brain. Alcohol converts into an actual toxic poison inside your brain and kills your brain cells. That is not a myth. That is not bullshit. That is not something that someone made up to scare you. It legitimately, medically, chemically converts into a toxic poison inside your brain and kills your brain cells. That's what alcohol does to you. So you can get dumber and lower your IQ by drinking. Now, the degree you can argue with. What's a lot for one person is not for another person. I'm not holier than thou. I'm not pointing my fingers because I drink too. We're going to do a Bror Nation after dark. I'm going to have a drink because sometimes I just like the feeling. But if you drink on a regular basis, like every day, have 3 glasses of wine is so healthy. You could have grape juice. And it has the same Resta, I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, Resta whatever. It's in grape juice. It doesn't have to have alcohol in it. You can buy the pills. It doesn't have to have alcohol in it. Oh, it's so healthy. No, it's not. No, it's not. Besides the liver and kidney damage that it's doing to you, it is chemically turning into a toxic poison that kills brain cells. Sorry, not sorry. I have to tell you the truth. So not only, like I've been saying for months, does it obliterate your testosterone? We're talking alcohol trashes a man's testosterone. It is actually eating your brains, killing brain cells. Killing should be banned. Even 420 does not kill the brain cells the way alcohol does, because there is a chemical reaction in the brain that turns it into a toxic poison. I know I keep repeating myself, and I know 90%, 99% of you are like saying bullshit or have no intention of changing your habits. But on the plus side, via neuroplasticity, because the brain, the body is the most amazing thing. And to think that evolution had anything to do with that shit is kind of low IQ, because the human body is just too freaking amazing. It's a divine thing, because the brain can actually rewire itself to get around those burnt out cells in your brain. Like when it burns out, those neurons, they figure out somewhere else to go. They might go to some place that's messed up, but they could also go to some place that's good. That's how people come back from head injuries and things like that, via neuroplasticity. That's how people recover from strokes. by neuroplasticity, rewiring of the brain. But if you keep screwing with your brain and poisoning it and killing more and more and more and more of your brain cells, at one point your brain's going to be like, we can't keep up, bro. Take a weekend off. Take it down a notch, how about like only having one box of wine after yoga, not two? But it legitimately kills your brain cells. So that's a whole bunch of butt hurt, and I do apologize. I could prove, you could prove it. It's easy to do. I think, let me reach over here real quick. Oh, let me butt hurt you a little more. Yikes, oh my God. Oh yeah, that is the end of my little slideshow. I hope you learned something. I hope you appreciate the effort that I put into bringing that to you, and I hope you don't hold me accountable for telling you drinking is killing your brain cells, but you know it is. Don't kid yourself. Don't put it on me anyway. You know it's true. You know that anything that's, doing that to you is doing something to your brain. You know what a hangover does. You know it. So, I had to include that. I'm sorry, but that is one item on the list that is 100% proven. All the rest of them are conjecture, or maybe in combination, all those things have the effect of lowering intelligence. Maybe even that, who knows? That has not been proven yet. But one thing that is for certain has been proven is alcohol, and in specific, abuse. Now, what's abuse? I don't know. Ask yourself. Every day, every other day, binging on weekends. But again, I still drink. But I know that my neuroplasticity can keep up with what I'm doing to my brain by having the occasional drink. I used to drink every day. I used to live the life out here on the strip like a freak. I could not walk into a casino without someone slapping a drink in my hand. I would be like this. Put out this hand, boom, scotch. Put out this hand, boom, cigar. Everywhere I went in this town for years. So yeah, I've done some damage to the old noggin. But, it rewires itself because I understand the concept, the theory, and application of neuroplasticity. That's why we're going to get into that too. But I don't abuse it anymore because at some point, especially as you get older, your body can't keep up with it anymore. Your body can't keep repairing shit when there's just nothing left to repair. So you have to think about it. Do I want to, what's more important? A good time and feeling like shit in the morning, or maintaining my brain cells and potentially not getting Alzheimer's or dementia when I'm older? Because that is a frightening effed up thing. Not only for you, but for the people around you to get, ALS or some Alzheimer's or something like that. Stop recognizing your family and all that type of shit. Woo, I ain't wanting to go there, So social drink, I'm up vets, eating I might have 2, I might have 3. But I train my neuroplasticity on the regular. All right, so I hope you got something out of that. And if you have any questions or comments or anything to add, drop them in the comment section. And on that note, Bror Fredrik.